It's Father's Day here on Mission Park Cares, and we're celebrating the wonderful fathers in our lives.
You know, and we're going to introduce you to a big life, very well lived, high-flying Dee Howard.
We'll bring you tributes for local dads that our viewers want to recognize in this show.
And we couldn't be more excited to bring you a special presentation of my father, who brought so much life to Mission Park.
We'll go back in time in Texas history with a visit to the Witte Museum.
But first, here's Scott Kitayama with a special blessing and prayer for all our dads for Father's Day.
When I first became a father, I called my mom and dad. And that was a time when you had two landlines, not smartphones. And they both got on the phone, and I said to them, "Thank you so much for taking care of me when I was a baby and changing my diapers." It was an eye-opening event being a new father. And my dad said, "You're welcome." And then my mom was really silent. And I thought, what's going on? And finally she spoke up and she said, "Your dad never changed a diaper in his life." And my dad did admit that. He never changed a diaper in his life. But he showed me a lot more than just changing a diaper. He showed me how to fix a car or change a flat tire. But most importantly, he showed me what the love of a father was really like. When I had bruised my knee, or when I was going through a heartbreak with a first girlfriend, my dad was always there, and my dad showed me incredible love and compassion. Much like the prodigal son's father. It's in Luke chapter 15, and I love this part. As the son comes to the father, it says that the father rises up, and while the son was still a long, long way, the father runs to him, kisses him, and shows him compassion and mercy. When the son was in deeply need of compassion and mercy, it was that grace of the Father that just overflowed over him. God calls us and calls me to show Christ's love to my kids, to be that father like He's the Father to us, and to show compassion and mercy. So on this Father's Day, I hope you will remember, and I hope you will embody the Father's love that He shows in Jesus Christ to us. And here's a prayer for dads and fathers. It's the author unknown, but it goes like this. Heavenly Father, you entrusted your son Jesus, the child of Mary, to the care of Joseph, an earthly father. Bless all fathers as they care for their families. Give them strength and wisdom, tenderness and patience. Support them in the work they have to do, protecting those who look to them, as we look to you for love and salvation through Jesus Christ, our rock and our defender. Amen. Happy Father's Day.
Now, let's pay tribute to some fathers we'll always remember.
It's time to meet the man who single-handedly changed the aviation history forever.
One of the real pleasures of engineering is to do something that is long overdue that really makes a difference.
Dee Howard has done more than just make a difference. He's changed the way how people fly the skies for the better. And his impact is still felt today. Howard was born in 1920, grew up in San Antonio. His first job was working on automobiles. But his curiosity sparked a new interest, the world of aerospace technology. He became an apprentice for Braniff Airways. At the same time, he trained to become a civilian pilot. When World War II came to an end, Dee joined a new company called Slick Airways. They became the first post-war all-cargo airline and one of the first businesses based out of the newly opened San Antonio Municipal Airport. Part of Dee's job was conducting the modification program to convert military C-46 cargo aircraft for commercial use. Dee thrived in this role, but when Slick relocated to California, he chose to stay in San Antonio. He founded his own company at the age of 27, Howard Aero. Located in a small one-room building at the San Antonio airport, the company quickly took off, becoming one of the most successful aircraft maintenance and modification companies post-World War II, and the largest manufacturing company in San Antonio. One of Howard Aero's most impactful projects was modifying and remanufacturing the Lockheed Ventura medium bomber. It was transformed into a long-range business aircraft, eventually known as the Howard Super Ventura. That model spawned off other versions of the plane, from the Howard 250 to the Howard 500 model. But that wasn't the only project Dee had a role in.
Dee Howard is truly a vanguard of aviation excellence.
Howard hired two future aircraft innovators to his growing company, Ed Swearingen and Bill Lear Jr. In the early 1960s, he worked with Lear in developing the first business jet aircraft. Dee produced the first full-scale mock-up of the Learjet right here in San Antonio. With these new business jets becoming popular, Dee realized there was a better way to slow down corporate jet aircrafts after landing. He designed and produced the first thrust reverser, then later began manufacturing these parts in San Antonio under his newly formed business called the Dee Howard Company.
One of the world's largest aerospace companies.
An engineering company with a focus on maintenance and overhaul services for business and large commercial jet aircraft. Dee is recognized internationally for advancing the state-of-the-art in business aircraft. His role in the field of aviation played into the growth of the San Antonio International Airport. A portion of the South Terminal Drive bears his name today. More than 40 U.S. and foreign patents are issued in his name for aviation and automotive products. One of his final engineering contributions was the Howard Precision Steer Wheel Control System, which improved highway safety for heavier vehicles. Dee retired in 2006. 3 years later, he passed away at the age of 88. He's now buried at Mission Park Dominion. Dee Howard, an aviation entrepreneur and pioneer, and forever remembered at Mission Park.
What amazing contributions he made in business and to his family.
Now let's meet some more dads that have made their families' lives absolutely spectacular. Everyone who knew my father knew he was a gentleman, and they called him Mr. Fred. But to me, he was my dad, he was my father, and I'd like for you to hear his life story now.
I'm Fred Tipps Jr., and this is the story of my life. I was born on September the 10th, 1923, and this is my father. My grandfather and grandmother moved to San Antonio, and my grandmother said, if I die, where am I going to be buried? She said, I want a perpetual cemetery. Well, there were none in Texas. My grandfather Chambers that started the cemetery. He went to the bank and found out how to set up perpetual care. First, you have to have water. So they started following the San Antonio River until they found this tract of land. My grandfather was about to close the deal with the man, and the man said, no, you can't buy it until I tell you the truth. Nothing will grow there. He said, well, what I want to plant there, I don't want it to grow. I have two brothers. One is older than I, and one is younger, and I'm in the middle. The first thing I remember, my parents had built a house, and we moved out into the country. The Tipps family never sold a car. They always took a car and put it in a warehouse. When I went to get my driver's license, the patrolman said, son, how long have you been driving? And I said, 2 years. Well, I was 12 years old. He said, where on earth have you been driving for the last 2 years without a driver's license? And I said, oh, I live in the country. So I was in the Air Force, and I met Peggy. She was 13 and I was 18. I taught her to drive a car, and we went together from then on out, you know. When I was 21 and she was 17, well, we got married. The day I got married was an event that I've always remembered. I married my sweetheart and best friend, and she's still that today. Still my best friend. Our first child was Margaret. The second one was Ann. The third one was Robert Dixon. And the fourth was Fred Tipps the third. It was tough work to raise a family. I guess it's more so today. Margaret has 2 sons. Ann's got a son and a daughter. Then Fred has 3 children. I enjoy being a grandfather because I like to see the children grow up and take over responsibilities. One grandson asked me the other day, he said, how come I have the same name as you do, Fred Tipps? And I said, I wanted somebody to carry on the family tradition. I grew up learning how to take care of people and their problems because they're going to be in grief someday. I was always told that if you could name all your friends on one hand, that was a success in life. But for my birthday the other day, when there was 141 people there, I needed more hands. I've had a good life with all my family and then my friends. If you have an argument, well, don't go to bed mad. Blow it off and start a new day. Because when you start the new day, everything is fine.
At Mission Park, we're finding new ways to preserve memories and to celebrate lives well lived.
If you'd like to have a live tribute like the one we just shared with you, just go to missionparks.com.
Right now, let's honor more fathers that will live in our hearts forever.
Dick, you paid a visit to the Witte Museum and learned a lot about the early Texas history. Will you share that with us?
I would love to.
You know, I'm here at the Witte Museum, and it's just one of my absolute all-time favorites. It's a jewel of San Antonio, as is Maurice McDermott.
Well, thank you, Dick Tips, but I mean, Mission Park, you are part of the history of San Antonio, just like the Witte Museum.
Thank you, Maurice, I appreciate it. And I want you to start telling us right away, right off the bat, a little bit about these characters that we have out here. You've got some amazing, amazing, amazing things that a lot of people do not know truly what it is. They say, okay, it's a dinosaur, but it's more than a dinosaur. Please tell me a little bit about it.
Well, these are dinosaurs who lived in Texas. These giant creatures walked along what was a shallow sea. This one, Acrocanthosaurus, he's our favorite guy. And so he walked along Government Canyon creek bed 105 million years ago. And we know that. How do we know that? Yeah. We have the actual footprints that he made in the sand that was uncovered by our paleontologist, Dr. Thomas Adams. And he uncovered 300 footprints. And in this case, he even knows how fast this Acrocanthosaurus was moving. This is 105 million years ago. And if you leap millions of years, the T-Rex, the famous T-Rex, the apex predator, he was actually all over North America, not just in Texas, but everywhere, because he could eat anything in his way.
And so dinosaurs obviously went extinct. But we're so blessed and we're so fortunate in San Antonio anyway to have this incredible collection here at the Witte. But tell me, what caused the extinction?
From what we understand, there was, a meteorite, an explosion, and the climate changed radically, immediately. And our paleontologist usually looks for that place in the Texas Deep Time Wall when that happened, right above the skeletons.
Right. And
he can tell you which one of those is when it happened. And then that's how they knew that was the end of these large, astonishing creatures.
Now, Maurice, also, I'm looking around and I can't help but notice these absolutely huge flying dinosaurs, or whatever they would be. Are they from Texas as well?
They're large flying creatures that did in fact live in Texas. These are the largest pterosaurs ever found. This one is called Quetzalcoatlus.
Tell me a little bit about the mission statement of the Witte for all of us here in San Antonio and beyond.
Well, the Witte is where nature, science, and culture meet. And so everything you just mentioned is really under that umbrella. We also say that it's about Texas deep time, and we especially say that the Witte Museum inspires people to shape the future of Texas. So our children and grandchildren will be part of the new Texas. And so it's really incumbent upon us to provide people with everything new that they could possibly know about old things sometimes, but there's always new information about all old artifacts and old stories. So that's our job, is to respond to the community, to listen to what the community wants to learn, and then provide it. What would you like to see? What would you like to experience? And we love the multi-generational experience, where the young ones and the older ones can learn from each other. That is really what we strive for here at the Witte Museum.
Thank you for everything that you do for all of us here in San Antonio to make life better for everything we do. And I love seeing all of the people that are here today.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a great honor.
Now, here's one last tribute to the dads we'll always hold dear.
Kristin, now I think it's time to lighten things up and hear from Bernie Martini at the Fairmont Hotel with a beautiful song.
I agree. Bernie, take it away.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Oh, one of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing, and then you'll spread your wings to the sky. But until that morning, nothing can harm you. With Daddy and Mommy standing by. Whoa, summertime,
Thanks for joining us today on Mission Park Cares.
And if you'd like to celebrate a life well lived in an upcoming memoriam section of Mission Park Cares, please let us know.
Just visit missionparks.com and click on Mission Park Cares.
And to all those dads watching, we wish you a happy Father's Day.
We're always here for you because at Mission Park,
It's our mission to care.
Dick, and happy Father's Day. And to everybody else in town, happy Father's Day.